If you're a Christian man who's looking for a wife, I'm about to give you the best advice you could ever get on how to find your next wife. So often, Christian men go about this the wrong way. And I'm a pastor. I've seen every different kind of way a Christian man has tried to find his wife. And so many times, people mess it up. And they make bad mistakes and end up in even worse situations because they're not doing things God's way. You have to be focused on doing things God's way if you're going to find the woman that God wants you to be with. Because I'll tell you, you do not want to be with the woman that God doesn't want you to be with, because it will not work out for you. So if you do these things, I promise you, God will bring you the woman that he wants you to be with, and your life will be blessed by God because you did these things. God wants you to be married. For so many people, he desires them to have a spouse that can come alongside them and to live their life with them. He said from the very beginning, it's not good that man should be alone. That's why he made Eve in the first place, because there was not found another helper that was fit for him. So he took Adam's rib and he made Eve. So he desires that men would be married. But you don't want to be married to the person that God doesn't want you to be married to. It won't work out for you, I promise. So you need to follow these steps in order to find the wife that God wants you to be with. First of all, the number one thing that you need to do in order to find your wife is you need to pray. You need to pray, 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 pray. You know why I tell you this? Because so many times people don't pray and they go off of just what they see. And they have this desire in their heart for who they want their wife to be physically. But I can tell you, as a married man of 10 years, the physical things go away in marriage. They're only good for so much. And if you have a wife that you can't stand to be around, then physical things mean nothing. Zero. You need the wife that God made for you. So you need to pray and you need to ask God to bring you the wife who has a heart that would be compatible with your heart and that would bless you for your whole life. Because you need to ask yourself how long you're planning to be married. Because if you want to honor God and you want to be married for the rest of your life to this woman, then you need to have the woman that's going to be good for you for the rest of your life. And you don't know who that is. You can't tell just by looking at someone who that is. Only God knows a person's heart, and only God knows what the future holds. So you need to seek him for this decision and trust him. Allow him to do the work. And I say that first because it's the most important. But I say that also because he will lead you on where to go to find your wife. I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't be on the internet and shouldn't use dating sites and you should only look for a woman at church or whatever it might be, because God can use anything to bring you the woman that he wants you to be with. But I could tell you right now, you need to get off of these people's profiles on TikTok and all kinds of other social media with these sexualized poses and women scantily dressed. God will not honor that in your life. And I'll tell you, you don't want a woman who acts like that to be your wife. It might be fun as a girlfriend or something like that, but God will not honor that in your relationship. He does not honor lust. He will not. So get off of those profiles. Get off of the porn sites. God is not going to honor that in your life. He needs you to be pure. And if you want a wife who is going to be good for you for the future, then your heart needs to be prepared to be a good husband to her too. The better husband you present yourself to be before God, the better wife he's going to bring you. So don't let your lust determine who you're going to marry. No, let God determine that. You become a good husband yourself, and then God will bring you a good wife. So get off the internet sites with all these porn things on them, or even women's profiles who, are halfway around the country or around the world, even halfway around the world. And they're showing you all these sexualized poses and stuff like that. Get off of that. You don't need that stuff. Okay. I've had people tell me, if I don't have the internet, then how can I find my wife? Look out the window. There's women everywhere. God will bring you the woman that he wants you to be married to. Remember Isaac, Abraham's son? Abraham sent one of his servants hundreds of miles to a different town that Abraham once was to go find someone from Abraham's own family for his son. And when his servant came to that town, the Lord brought the woman that he had for Isaac to Abraham's servant, and that woman was willing to travel with Abraham's servant hundreds of miles to come and marry a man she had never met. That's crazy. And she comes to him, and they both loved each other, and they remained together their whole lives. So don't tell me that God can't bring you the woman that he wants for you. I would tell you, you need to wait. You need to be patient. Don't just run after any old woman you might find, anyone that you might find attractive. Don't do that. Don't appear to be desperate. First, you need to seek God and trust in him for what he has for you. And I promise you, he will show you the woman that he has for you in a way that nobody else can do it. And here's another good point. When you think you have found this woman that God wants you to marry, you need to pray about it first of all, but then you need to wait for external confirmation. Don't just think, oh yeah, she's so beautiful and I love her and we talk for hours and hours on the phone. You could do that with anybody, okay? That doesn't mean that this is the woman that you need to be married to for the rest of your life. What I mean by external confirmation is wait for somebody else, another human being that has no idea about the situation, to confirm to you that this is who God has for you. There are so many people, I've heard this about so many young boys. There'll be some beautiful girl in youth group, and they'll be praying, and they will swear up and down that God told them that they should be married to the most beautiful girl in their youth group. And it doesn't matter who they are. But they have never got confirmation from God on this. And so then that girl goes and marries somebody else, and they get mad at God, and they might lose their faith over this. And it's like, well, God never told you that you were going to marry the most beautiful girl in your youth group. You just wanted to because your eyes started popping out of your head, and you didn't wait for God. You just wanted to yourself. God never told you that. You heard what you wanted to hear. So you need to wait for external confirmation. You need to wait for somebody not involved in the situation to come to you and to say, no, that's who you're supposed to marry. God will confirm these things to you, and he will show you exactly who he has for you. But don't just run after any person just because you think they're pretty. That is silly to do, okay? You cannot find the best woman for you who is going to make you happy your whole life. Only God knows that person, and he has created that person with you in mind. And you should be praying far ahead of time saying, God, bring me a godly woman who will bless my life and who will lead me into ministry with you, and that I can bless her and that you have prepared for me before time began. I promise you, he will answer that prayer. He has been preparing a person. Trust him in the person that he has for you. Maybe they're not the prettiest person out there. Maybe they're not the smartest person out there. I don't know. But trust God in who he has for you. He will show you. He knows the desires of your heart, and he knows what you need to follow him. So trust him with that and allow him to do the work. I promise you, he will bless your life. There's so many things that you can't think about, but God knows. He knows far ahead of time. Allow him to do that work in your life and trust him. Get off all the other sites. Get off all the other lusty things that you're doing and trust him to make you a good husband and prepare your house to have a good wife. God bless you guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.